If I could please get everyone to silence your cell phones and rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. And go ahead and take roll. Councilmember Graham. Here. Councilmember Holland.
Present. Councilmember
Smith.
Here.
Councilmember Fredericks.
Here.
Councilmember Chapman. Here. Councilmember Rounds.
Here.
Councilmember Plaza. Councilmember Plaza is not present this evening. He is asked to be excused. That takes us to our agenda. Again, this is the 2021 proposed preliminary budget presented by departments. We are, Mr. Boyce, I probably should have have we done fund balances?
Well, we touched on that, but that's why I'm going to start with a little more detail than last time.
Okay. Then I will, just let me know where we are on the agenda and I'll kick it over to you.
Okay, we're number 4, fund balances.
Perfect.
Well, I guess it's number 1 on this agenda.
Oh, is there a page that we should be following along?
So I handed out some handouts at the last workshop that we didn't jump into.
He sounds like the chef from the Muppets.
Let me get the first one up. Can you see my screen now?
It's going to be here in just a moment. I believe. Enter.
Sound like a teacher.
Everything timed out on us here. I think the screen is firing up right now. I've got the 4 boxes. It says focus, height, enter, zoom. Let's try this. There we go. Oh, for crap's sake. Oh, no, there we go. Just a moment.
Hey, well, this is Mary. I just called
Can you
her
hear me
myself.
now? Okay.
I heard Pete.
Okay, I got your message, Mary. Thank you.
For some reason, my computer is very slow.
And you sound like a robot. And the screen is not working.
Okay. Yeah.
Technical difficulties. We have people when they stand outside the door of the office. I would have felt
Sorry, I'm having trouble opening the file. It's taking a minute.
Pete, are you in the conference room? Because Colby had said that was too far away from the junction box or something, that you needed to be closer in the other room.
Great. I'm on the
Try moving your laptop closer or come out the door and see if you get a better connection. Or are you hardwired? Are you doing wireless?
Do you know how to put the screen on and back here? It's live right now.
Can you see my screen, Mr. Mayor?
No.
No. Also, I think it's going to the cheese side on the computer.
Input search. No. Okay.
I'm in the training room, but on the police department secure Wi-Fi. You said that should work.
That should
You got a
work
strong.
then, yes.
No, let me see
Alright.
if this one works here.
Can folks see the screen?
No. This
No.
is- no signal. Are we even put? Oh, this might be helpful. I just plugged it in. Thanks.
He'll be here all night. Make sure he tips your waiters and waitresses.
Thanks, Chief.
Thank you.
Okay, buddy. You want the door open?
Just slightly so I can yell.
Let me know when you can see the screen, Mr. Mayor.
We're open. We're on. Yeah, just leave a crack for me, please.
So, are you able to hear the
So glad we're not all in the same room.
Oh, Tracy, you got a field day up here right now.
Do you have the blue cord plugged in?
Yep, we're up and rolling. We're good.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Can you hear me, Will?
Obviously, can't hear you.
Hello? I can hear you, Pete. This is Travis.
Alright, so.
I can hear you, Pete. I just can't see your screen, but they say in the council chambers they can.
You need me to be in the conference room?
I can see the screen now.
Okay. Okay, so the screen I have up is the handout we handed out at the last workshop.
I thought that was something old. He's gonna go try another. He didn't even-
It's titled Fund Balance, General Fund. Okay.
It's like
All
it's
right,
like
so
4 minutes back.
what we're
He's gonna try Jim's computer here. I mean, it seems reasonable, but seems reasonable.
Okay, the first sheet is,
This isn't him. This is not caught up, by the way. He's not talking right now.
I just want to where it goes.
Last time we got fund balance.
I thought he's trying to sing funk now.
I'm on mute here.
I'm not able to hear Pete. It's very robot-y.
Weird.
Sounds like he's in sloth mode.
Yes.
So I'm on the WPD Wi-Fi, so I'm
This was just
supposed
us
to be able to
just a few moments ago.
have better.
So everybody knows, it's like way behind. Pete's not even talking right now. It's the system.
Jim's office.
Technically, it's not supposed to be in here either. See if you get it on the.
Well, is that a mic plug in underneath your right there?
Unplug that one and get him closer.
Well, I said we unplug this one and plug it in that left.
I'm just stood over here, yeah.
He probably has that internet in order to see.
Yeah.
Sometimes it works good, sometimes it goes bad.
Give it to me. It's not always good.
No, I keep that.
You're paying for 450, it's never gonna be 450, it's always 120 or something.
I pay for 100.
It's never that high.
I switched over, I got a new router, a Chorus router. I went away from their rented mass router. Extenders in my house. And I think pretty regularly get 95 to 120. Pay for 100. But every so often it just falls without. Well, yeah, the Wi-Fi extender, money well spent. Keep that on my school.
So what I'll do.
This whole mask wearing thing is a real pain.
I know it is.
Oh.
I get all clumped inside.
No, I see it.
It's not coming out, it's like going in one nostril, coming out the other.
If you don't get it out fast enough and sneeze, it's like,
It's free.
Okay, so you can see the screen.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to leave this, but it's still not caught up yet. Let me log back in.
they've got a COVID testing staff on that number right in the airport.
Anybody can go.
Anybody can go, $130.
Oh,
Okay. You gotta pay up there, and the reason why you gotta pay up there is
Is it instant?
3 hours.
3 hours?
So you gotta pay up there because of the, you can't go to Hawaii without having one within 72 hours.
yeah, we canceled our Hawaii trip for
What's the
January.
efficiency of it?
Because I'm not gonna pay to
What's
have
the
a test.
efficiency?
Smart.
I don't
You
know.
wanna make it
I've heard so much of this.
place.
I've
have
heard
positive,
negative,
That's
test positive, negative,
Right.
negative, positive, positive.
I'm with you.
What the, I heard the rapid ones are about 80%. That's the rumor I've heard, but that's a good number. Yeah, it is. I mean, yeah, it is. Good round number.
Let me try to reach the Wi-Fi again.
All right.
They're gonna try to get as much as they can out of the test kit, the $130 a pop, the government's gonna turn around and give out the
vaccination for free. That's when I
They
feel
have
bad.
been doing very well. She said they're averaging 100 tests a day right now.
All right, here we go.
That's raking in the money.
Okay, so the slide I have up on the screen right now shows fund balance. It's titled Fund Balance General Fund 001. These handouts are the same as what we handed out last week. So what this chart shows is the beginning fund balance, which is green, and the ending fund balance for the general fund.
Will, can you hear me?
As you can see, you have 2019 actuals, 2020 budget, and 2021 proposed budget. Sorry, having a technical difficulty here. The beginning fund balance for 2021 is $341,904. The ending fund balance is coming in a little bit lower at $314,000. The last time we talked about fund balance a couple weeks ago in the workshop, we looked at the general fund, the park fund, the street fund, and the capital reserve fund combined, because we do share tax revenue between those funds. Overall, there was a little bit of a decrease into 2021. That was mostly because of street projects in the street fund. So when those projects get done, the fund balance goes down. So the general fund, you can see from 2020 to 2021 is relatively stable. Looking at, well, I want to take questions, but I can't hear you all. So if anyone has questions on the general fund, let Will know and he'll relay it back to me. Okay, I got a thumbs up, so I'll keep going. I'm going to switch slides now. Okay, we're going to the park fund now.
Okay.
The second page, so the park fund.
Fund balance park.
I'm trying to pull it up. For some reason, my computer's being slow.
On the second page of the park fund. Oh, we're on fund balance. It's right here.
Okay, I'm trying to pull it up here. I'll talk a little bit about it before it comes up. The park fund balance has been, here it comes, fairly low over the years. We've had, it's basically funded by tax revenue we share from the general fund. And you can see it's been up and down over the last 3 years. We increased it in 2019, the actual. It came down a little bit in the 2020 budget, and we're holding it steady for 2021. So the overall ending fund balance is scheduled to be $22,769. Looks like you can see my screen, so that's good. Again, we look at these funds we're going through first in combination because they are so interdependent on each other. So any questions on the park fund?
No.
Okay. So we're moving on to the fund balance for the street fund, 104. All right, so it's thinking here, it's trying to come up.
Okay, how's this question?
Don't listen to that.
Not sure why my laptop is taking so long. Maybe my laptop is the issue.
I'm gonna lose my mind.
I am too. Here it comes.
You need some decaf.
Not because of you.
All right, so here is the fund balance for the street fund. So if you can see it. Okay. So what we're looking at here, you can see a decrease from 2020 to 2021. And that's mostly due to the completion of some street projects between the 2 years. And we have the beginning funding balance holding steady with the end fund balance in orange at $297,214. Okay, and any questions?
No, fire away. Yes.
I think it's going to be a cluster, but I see 2019 and 2020 have very large negative numbers.
Okay.
Have you had on your revenue less expenses, how do you end up with a positive number to start the new year,
Okay.
both in 2020 and 2021?
With the Tracy, can you hear me? Oh, she's on the phone. So the question is, how can we have a negative fund balance in 2019, negative in 2020, and then a positive beginning balance in 2021?
So the 2020 budget was an estimate of where the ending fund balance would be. Looking at actual expenditures in 2020, we think that ending fund balance is going to come in differently, and we think it's going to come in at the $297,214.
So here's what I'm looking at that I'm confused over. 2019 ending fund balance was 256,054, which means that would be your beginning 2020 balance. The ending is 489,404 in 2020, but the 21 proposed is 297,214. There's a delta there of approximately 188,000. Why is there such a difference?
That's fine. There's a difference between the negative 233 and the 297 of about 188,000. How are we?
489.
Oh, sorry, 49.
And 297. Why is there such a large delta between the two?
Why is there such a large delta between the two, the 489 and the 297?
And that was because in 2020, we did have some street projects that were requiring, grants that were requiring match from the street fund, and we missed our estimate when we budgeted for 2020. That's why it's ending 2020 so high and starting 2021 lower.
That makes sense.
You good? All right, thank you.
Okay. Any other questions?
Any other questions? No.
Okay, next we're moving on to the Capital Reserve Fund 301. I'm wondering if it's my laptop. Here it comes.
I think everybody's is.
All All right, so here we go.
They have no questions.
Okay, so you can see the ending fund balance is relatively stable for the 301 Capital Reserve Fund. We're planning on ending 2021 with, I gotta make it bigger so I can see it. At $967,000. So historically, we've tried to keep that around $1 million. In 2019, it came down a little bit, and most of that is the reason you see the decline in the Capital Reserve Fund was because of the loss of gambling tax revenue. So we're trying to keep it stable right now, and for 2021, we're successful in doing so.
We are out of policy, though, correct?
We are out of policy, yes.
The policy is 6 months of expenditures, is that what the policy?
Policy is 6 months of expenditures?
3 months.
3 months. How far behind are we?
I don't have the number in front of me, but I believe we have a little over a month.
A little over a month.
So we do this for 30 days.
Is there a question there?
Not a question, but if our general fund is $5 million, and we have $1 million, it would seem like it would be a little bit longer than a month, but
I understand what you're saying, but I think the anticipation is that everything will get caught back up if we do have to start diving in for months on end. At some point, we would have some relief from somewhere. Thank you.
Okay. Those were the fund balance items I wanted to speak to. Next item I wanted to hit on the agenda was salary. And then we'll wait to get the chart up on the board. Almost there, I think. Okay, so here you can see the 2019 actual, 2020 budgeted amount, and the 2021 budgeted amount. You'll see an increase between 2020 and 2021. That's mostly due to the new positions in the police department, and it also covers, part of that increase is also the COLAs for 2021. So this shows that in 2020 we started out at, our budget was $4.3 million with salaries and benefits. It's 4.89 for 2021. The subsequent pages I have in your handouts, I'm showing the Teamsters, or I'm sorry, first the Police Association's salary schedule, which we negotiated last year. We're in negotiations now for 2021. We haven't included an appropriation in the 2021 budget yet for police, as we don't know exactly where that's going to come out. The following page is the 2021 Clerical Teamster step plan. 2021 will be the last year before that contract needs to be renegotiated. I included on the next page the 2020 clerical step plan also, so you can compare the difference between 2020 and 2021. It's a 3.25% COLA increase between the two. The clerical Teamsters added to their contribution in health insurance over this contract, and that's partially the reason for that COLA. The following page is the 2020 step plan for the Teamster laborers. And again, their increase was 3.25%, and again, they changed their insurance contribution. The last page is, let me pull this one up. Okay, it looks like I don't have it. But in your packet, you have the administrative salary schedule, so the exempt employees, meaning myself and department directors and deputy directors. So there's a 3.25% COLA included from 2019 to match the Teamster increase. The one notable change that should be brought forward is we amended the Public Works Director's salary. She was basically on step 9 and topping out at just over $100,000. We increased her wage, or we're proposing to increase her wage. Discussed it with the HR committee to equal that of the police chief. So that amount will be $109,652 would be her salary this year. The justification for that being the large amount of grant revenue she's brought into the city. We're realizing a number of projects at an accelerated rate that we haven't been able to do in the past. So that's the reason for that increase. The colored boxes show where each individual is on the grid. So you can see most folks are at step 9, the top step. The community development director will end up being at step 8 throughout the course of the year. And then in 2022, he'll end up at step 9. The building official position, as you know, it's vacant. We're contracting out those services right now. And the associate planner is at step 2, moving to step 3 in 2021. I'd entertain some questions if anyone has them.
Mr. Fredericks,
What percentage of cost do staff pay for healthcare?
what percentage of, 0?
They pay 0. What does the union pay for healthcare?
I believe the contract gets them up to paying 5% within, or is it 3% within 3 years of Teamsters for health insurance?
I want to say it's 5%, but I need to look it up here.
I believe over the course of this contract that was recently signed, it's a stepped, it's a stepped program. They start out, I believe it goes from 2, 3, and then 5 in the 3rd year.
I believe that's correct.
We're right in there. So this
I'll
is,
confirm that with.
and that would be the Teamsters, not clerical.
So is it a policy decision then to discuss changing that? And was that discussed at the Human Resources Committee when these changes were asked for?
Is anyone in here on the human resources?
Carl and I are. What was the question again?
The question was, is when we reviewed these changes that were adopted, was there any discussion about having admin match what union was doing on paying for healthcare costs?
Not that I recall this year.
Not this year, we haven't.
This is something that has been brought up the last 2 years due to our comps. This was discussed this year at my office, but I did not take it to Human Resources this time. I did ask that a few of the positions of the executive staff were reviewed, and it was determined that the Public Works Director position was the only one that would ask to be moved this way, and the rest would stay at a 3 1/4, due to the fact that we felt like we were within market. As far as the health insurance, that was discussed as well. Out of fear of losing critical executive team members, I chose to pull that off the table as well.
So here's what concerns me. I've been on this council since 2008, and every time there is a change to the union contract that benefits staff, it is brought to the Human Resources Committee and asked for us to change it immediately, because we have to. Anytime something is taken away, we never get that. It's very concerning to me that it appears that it's one-sided. When there's goodies, we get the goodies. When there aren't goodies and they have to pay for more, we don't ever have that conversation. If we're not in line with where our COLA should be, address that. I have no objections to addressing what it should be, market rate. But if we're asking employees to pay for healthcare costs on a ramped-up 2-3-5 schedule, the same thing in my mind should be done with management. So, again, that would just be, from my perspective, I have no objections to figuring out the step plan. My objection is you're asking your employees to do something that your management team is not doing.
Thank you.
But that is a policy decision, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely. Well, yes, it is. Yes, it is.
I would like, personally, I would like to see the numbers on a 2-3-5.
Okay.
What is the total out-of-pocket that someone would have to pay on a 2-3-5?
So,
we have facts and we know those numbers rather than I don't think we know what 2-3-5 is.
Okay. I will tell you that because the Teamsters did go with the 2-3-5, the adjustment in pay, because we did put that on the table and there was an agreement, there was also an adjustment to the pay.
To offset.
To offset slightly. I mean, it doesn't completely offset it, but in order to make the contract work, a larger percentage in salary increase was given, with the expectation that obviously 2, 3, and 5 step with medical benefits over the course of the contract. So I guess what I'm getting at is we looked at the 3 1/4, which matched up with Teamsters. I felt comfortable bringing that to council, and we did discuss the possibility of paying for a percentage of the medical insurance. But that would mean, in my mind, that means that we would have to adjust the COLA as well, because this is a benefit. Obviously, medical is a benefit, and that is being evaluated.
But I have no problems with the step plans, even if the step plans need to be reviewed and looked at. I personally, as one member, am okay with the city looking at that, but I think it's important that we understand what 2% is. And we're asking them to pay 2%. 2% of what, $2,000 a month? Was that $40 we're asking them to pay a month? That's pretty close, I think. I don't think that's a lot to ask for management to chip in and start paying their way as well. That'd be as one member. I think other folks may have an opinion, others may not, but I personally, as one member, would like to see what that breakdown is. What would my total cost be if in 2021 we went to 2%, 2022 the proposed was 3%, is that right? In 2023, moving that to 5%. What those numbers would look like in today's, we know how much medical is.
Right.
Per employee, we know that. We should be able to easily ascertain how much that would be.
We will bring those numbers back to you.
Wonderful. Don't all speak up at once.
I agree with you also.
I
would like to see him also.
All right. Anything else on salaries? Mrs. Holland?
I don't know how to say this in a nice way.
It's fine. Just get it out there.
You should be honest.
But it's incredibly disconcerting to know, and I don't have a problem with people's positions or anything like that. But people I know are paying, $600, $700, $800, $900 a month to have insurance, to have health insurance. So like 2 people, plus co-pays and all this other stuff. So, I mean, for real, $40. My mind is blown. I don't know how in a nice way to explain that the people who work for the city have better health care than the people paying for their health care. I guess is how I'm trying to say that. So I'm totally in agreement with Councilmember Fredericks. I think this is something that needs to be looked at. I would be really curious to go over a lot of this. This is going to be a fun time. I have a really hard time with this. I have a hard time with cost of living increases and a pandemic, when half the town is unemployed or underemployed. I know a gentleman who just lost his home that he had for 20 years because he is currently underemployed. And we're giving people are asking for pay raises. And I get that it's a union contract or whatever, but seriously, taxpayers pay for this and taxpayers are unemployed. So, I'm just kind of processing all of this, but anywho, that was my agreement with Councilmember Fredericks.
Thank you. Anything else?
I do agree with the Public Works Director change. I think that is, she pays for herself as far as I'm concerned. I definitely support that wholeheartedly. But I have always struggled with 0% health care. The Affordable Health Care Act, which was passed a few years ago, pretty much eliminated everybody, had exemptions for everybody who had an affordable, or what they would consider a Cadillac plan. This would be considered a Cadillac plan because it pays 100% of your health care, or your premiums, so to speak, premiums. I do not know what percentage they pay. I would be willing to bet it's probably close to nothing to go to the doctor. But I don't know.
Can we get that info also?
What's that?
What the plan actually pays?
Yes.
In the real world, not working for the city or the state, the business people, I know when I was manager and I was in management, I had to pay for part of my medical. We used to not have to, and then when things started getting tough, then we had to start paying a pretty good percentage for our medical also. So it's only cities and state employees that still have the luxury of everything.
Not all of them.
Not all of them?
State, I would say state doesn't really get that much. But
Okay.
if you work for the city,
Oh, you get a lot.
yes. I work for an $8 billion company. I have a family of 4 on my health care. I'm responsible for the first $6,000, which means I have to pay $6,000, and then after that, 100% will be paid for. But if most of my family's healthy, and I go to the doctor because I get bronchitis,
You're paying every
right out
penny of it.
pocket.
Yeah.
And they don't match any health, they
Right.
don't match any, so, now, some might argue, well, Councilmember Frederick, do you get a bonus? Yes, I do. I get the opportunity to earn a bonus every year. The folks that work here do not. So, I mean, I understand that these are professionals to have the ability to earn more going somewhere else. I understand that. I get it. The other side would make an argument that they're making a sacrifice. But I always have a difficult time getting there. And I hate the fact that we're talking about when you're a public employee, we have to have these uncomfortable conversations. And I don't really like having them, but at the end of the day, we are the stewards of the taxpayers' money, and I think it's important that we do have these conversations and we have all the facts in front of us before we make a decision about moving forward with something.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
We'll
And,
get that information over to you.
and I just wanted to throw my 2 cents in also that they are uncomfortable conversations, but council sets policy and council makes decisions, and these have to be done in public. So I don't want council to feel apprehensive about saying what's on their mind. I know staff is professional and they don't take things personally. It's a question of taxpayer dollars, and it's legitimate conversation to have at a public meeting. So, okay. Let's see. With that, moving on to the reserve funds. The next item on the agenda. We'll start out with Fund 301, the Capital Reserve Fund. And I should have clicked this 10 minutes ago, I guess. Okay, here it comes. I think. All right, there it is. So this is the revenues for Fund 301, the Capital Reserve Fund. We just talked about its fund balance, and now you're going to see the revenues and expenditures. So the revenues for 2021, you have the beginning fund balance at $964,000. Taxes in, which includes the REIT funds, the real estate excise tax funds. We have $315,263, and I believe there's property tax in that also. I'm afraid I don't have that number in front of me, but that's part of the $315,000. You see a transfer in from the general fund of $38,268, and miscellaneous revenues, which could be interest and other non-regular revenues that come in of $12,000. So it shows the overall resources of $1,330,444. So that's the revenue side. Any questions on the revenue? Okay, hearing none. Okay, we'll go to the expenditures. Apologize for the speed of my laptop here. Here it is. Okay, so these are the expenses set for the Capital Reserve Fund 301. You see the ending fund balance of $957,000. Transfers out of $373,180. We looked at those last time. There's transfers going to the general fund, and transfers going to, I believe, the one of the debt service funds for repayment of debt related to this facility. So not a lot on the expenditure side, but any questions? Okay, hearing none. Going on to the next fund is the Equipment Reserve Fund, 304. And we're looking at revenues. And this fund is, we put a certain percentage of sales tax in here annually, and it's for the purpose of saving for equipment, whether it be a vehicle, servers for our IT system. You can see it's been building over the last 3 years. We've got a beginning fund balance of $35,759, so that's where it starts at the beginning of the year. Transfers in, we've got $18,212. A little bit of miscellaneous revenue from interest at $250. The final total is $54,221. At this point, we don't have any expenditures listed for 304. I don't think I'll pull that next slide up because it takes so long. But basically, you have an ending fund balance of $54,221, and we're just saving the money for future equipment purchases. But no purchases are expected in 2021. The next item is the Water Utility Reserve.
Mr. Fredericks?
Since it appears that we might be in lockdown for the rest of our lives, is it possible to fix this system so we can have a meeting? And if so, do we understand what the costs are so we can effectively do what we're doing tonight, which doesn't seem to be working all that well? Is that an option?
Yes, that's an option.
Do we know how much it will cost to allow us to be able to do it this way?
We can certainly research it and find out what resources are absolutely necessary.
And there's no more COVID dollars available for that, I'm
Correct.
assuming? Okay, excellent.
Okay. So moving on to the Water Utility Reserve. Moving on to the revenues with that. So basically, when permits are issued for new water hookups, fees are placed into the Water Utility Reserve. When the so you can see that the beginning fund balance has diminished considerably since 2019. In 2019, it was at $562,628. 2020, we had budgeted $49,025 for the beginning fund balance and just $4,200 in 2021. And the reason for that decline, when we get to the expenditure side of things, well, it just shows transfers out, was to help pay for the water treatment plant retrofit, the HVAC system, the electrical work that was done, the new generator. So that fund now is much lower than it was before. And again, it's one of those funds we save up money to do projects. And when those projects happen, you see the fund balances go down. Any questions on the revenue side? We'll go to the expenditure side next. No? Okay. Okay, so here's the expenditure side. So you can see the transfer out in 2019 was very large at $665,000. Again, that was to take care of the water treatment plant upgrade. You can see in 2021, basically we don't have any transfers out for this year. We're looking at the ending fund balance being $79,200.
Computer, because we can't hear what you're saying. The audience can't hear anything you're saying.
Oh. Well, it's not muted, it's on. Let's see. Okay. Chief, let me know if that works. Okay, so again, this fund is diminished. We'll be working on, this is part of the utility rate study that was completed, and you'll see that fund increase a certain amount, but we do have a lot of projects at the front end of the capital improvement plan. So this will be a ongoing fund we'll be watching. Any questions related to the expenditures? No? Okay, moving on to the sewer utility reserve revenues. And you'll see a different story on the sewer utility reserves. This slide comes up. Okay, so you can see it's slowly increasing over time. In 2021, we're starting with a beginning fund balance of $547,000. We have miscellaneous revenues expected of $82,245. Which includes special assessments around $75,000, investment and other earnings at $7,200. So all of those together total $630,145. So again, we're saving for future projects. Any questions on the revenues?
No.
Okay. Okay, moving on to the expenditures in the sewer reserve fund. I don't think we even have to wait for the slide. It's basically the ending fund balance for 2021 is scheduled to be $630,145. There are no transfers out or expenditures budgeted for 2021. So again, we're saving funds for future projects. Any questions?
No.
Okay. At this point, we're to the agency requests, and I'm going to turn it over to Clerk Treasurer Rip for this portion. Let me unshare my screen.
Mrs. Rip, can you hear us?
I think you're muted.
You're muted? I'm not muted though. I'm muted. How about now? Can you guys hear me now?
I think they're muted.
I'm getting a nod from Tracy. You can hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Yep.
Thank you. Mrs. Rip, are you ready for, oh shoot.
Agency requests.
Agency requests?
Is she on there right now?
I think she's via phone.
There is no caller on there.
Oh, caller has left.
Where would we?
That's what I'm looking for right now. Are we looking
Okay.
for,
These?
are we looking at the enhancements or just the hotel motel at this time, Mr. Boyce?
Hotel motel.
Hotel motel.
I don't have that.
Don't? Let me look back. There you are. You barely hear you. Do we have the list of hotel motel requests?
Can you hear me all right?
Yes.
No.
I guess not. Let me see here. The go-to is not being our friend this evening, I'll tell you. It is lagging, and let's see here. Stand by. I'm looking to see if we, do you know if we have a list of the agency requests in here?
Let me see if I can, I think we do.
I haven't seen what was,
So if we go back into the,
we do not. Doesn't appear that we do. It's around the back here.
okay, I think I have it.
You think you have it? Okay. We'll pull it up on the screen. Maybe.
Yeah, let me, I guess I should share my screen again.
Oh, salaries. I know I saw the list at some point.
Yeah,
there.
so it's in the original expenditure sheet that we handed out, the first on October 5th. Unfortunately, we don't have page numbers, so it's, let's see if I can get my computer to pull up the website and can find it here. Tell you what, in lieu of that, let me just talk you through it while I'm waiting for my computer to come up. So every year we have a number of these agency requests that come in. Some are, most are mandatory, but we have an emergency services appropriation for 2021. The request is $18,000. In 2020, it was $17,865 or $885, and that's for emergency management. Air pollution control, we've got $1,600, the same amount as from 2020. Substance abuse, we have.
Mr. Boyce, just a moment. That
Not on the screen.
we're waiting for it to pop up, and he's starting to go through it while it's generating.
Is it in here?
No,
It is not in here.
it is not in there. I think that the committee had to, well, like the LTAC committee had to reschedule due to no quorum, but then they were able. I was just trying to find it on my phone. If there was, I know that I received it, but I'm not seeing it at this moment. The internet in our place of business is not being very friendly with us this evening. Should we? Well, it's 8:15. Should we take a break?
Okay.
Why don't we take a quick break? Why don't we take like a? We'll take a 7-minute break, and everybody online. I'm going to log out. Let's all log out and then attempt to log back in and see if we can get a different line. So take about a 7-minute break, and we'll come back. Okay? Okay, all right. So I'll end the meeting for everyone, and then we'll start again. I'm not sure what's... This is still recording. Oh, yes, please. Here, I already have it. Thank you. Thank you, Carl. That would be funny. That would actually be quite funny. I don't think this is working either. Because your head is not down at all. I've done that. That's what I was doing. We're waiting to... Oh, there. Oh, it got you. It finally just now got you. But now you're stuck like this.
Nice.
Oh, shoot.
That's right.
Your hands in the air.
Cut it out. I kind of feel like we already, like, Skype as part of this. We could have Skyped all of this.
It seems like we could have done better.
Yeah. With all of these Skype built into them.
Do a freeze frame, and then everybody works on that, so it's better than just frozen.
I like it.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
I'm feeling,
Colin said you got it, that's all I know.
yeah,
That's my default right there.
that's, we're not being recorded, are we?
I don't know. I can't tell. I don't know.
Well, I'll say it anyway. Darlene told the coroner, and she said, I tell you one thing, I don't want this counted as COVID-19.
Oh,
Yes.
bless her heart.
Yes.
Oh,
And the,
Did she thought of that?
chaplain out of Calhoun County, he said, oh, I wished I'd have known you sooner.
Who thinks of that?
I know.
yeah, we don't know.
I'm trying to reduce and started doing an upgrade.
I'm sorry.
It's so frustrating.
Is he updating?
Yes.
That's what, that's.
Is this the issue?
That's why he's not.
Computers updating?
Yeah, he did a reboot to try to get a better, and now he's rebooting.
30%.
I could probably go over these while you update. Well, we can just go over the paper copies.
You know, the problem is on the hotel motel, she doesn't have the breakdown of.
Oh, she's back on here. Let me see if she's got it. Mary, do you have the breakdown of the hotel motel request? Oh, I must still be lagging.
I don't think she heard us.
No, Tracy's saying no.
No, I can hear you lifetime. I have no problem hearing you. Mary, can you hear us?
I see her moving.
I'm going to go with no.
I like this.
Yeah, you can see her eyes moving.
Yeah, I mean, it's moving. She's moving. So I don't know if
She's going to be behind with our voices
she
there
was locked
too.
up.
How far in are you?
Oh, there we go.
Still saying 30.
Okay.
Mary, now.
Here. Let me see if you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to call her, and we will ask her here, because this isn't working.
Oh, I can't hear you.
anyone.
Here we go.
All right, I'm just going to call her here.
It's like a hostage note.
It does. It looks like a hostage note. Throw on speaker.
Don't make me do it.
Now the phone's not even.
Hello.
Hi, are you there? Oh, you're online. Oh, I'm trying to call you.
I want to bust to the airport and a dozen donuts.
Oh, that is. Oh, I'm looking at your. Why isn't this working? There we go. How's that?
I can hear you on the phone. I just can't hear you over the
Yeah,
go-to meeting.
you're frozen again. I don't know what's going on. Everybody else seems to be doing okay.
Okay.
But so I've got you hooked up to the speaker.
Okay.
We're trying to go over hotel motel requests. Pete's computer decided to do an update.
Oh, great. Everything went wrong tonight.
Yes. So what we have in front of us right now, just so you're aware, we've got the proposed for like the air pollution, substance abuse, mosquito control, and then the proposed number for the hotel motel, but we don't have a list of the expenditures.
Okay. So I'll give you a rundown on the agencies or the entities that asked for money and what the lodging tax recommended the board. So the chamber asked for $50,000.
Doing that automatically, but yeah.
The Lilac Gardens asked for $6,000. Roy Racing asked for $7,500. Excuse me. And Planners Day asked for $2,505. That is a grand total of $66,005. The Lodging Tax Advisory Committee recommended that full amount because for 2020, the Lilac Gardens is not submitting for their money they were supposed to get this year. Can you hear me?
Yes. Yep. No, we're good. Keep going.
Okay. And so that being said, the Lodging Advisory Committee said that since the Lilac Gardens didn't ask for any of their money for 2020, that they would go ahead and do a recommendation toward everybody what they asked for in 2021.
This conference will now be recorded.
Sorry. I just had to restart that. Sorry. Okay.
So the total, just a minute. The total is the $66,005 and shoot. Oh, we had 59 in there, but I haven't updated that yet since so the rest will go to fund balance.
So you're stating $66,005, but it says 59 on the proposed.
Correct. That was before the lodging tax board met.
Okay, gotcha. So there's that 59 should read $66,005.
And $5.
Okay.
Correct.
$66,005, which makes a difference of $97,738.
So our estimated revenues, just the hotel motel, not with fund balance, was $59,468. So that would change just a hair as well.
Okay.
So 59,468. A little bit on the investment interest, and then 64.5. So hold on just a minute. I'll give you the number here. One second.
Yes. I don't know about the revenue. Stand by. Let me ask.
So the total revenue is, oops. Just a minute. Just hit the wrong button. 91,201. And so the difference is 25,196 to fund balance.
Okay. With expenses at 66,005.
Correct.
Okay. Did that answer your question?
Yeah, but
Okay.
I missed all of it. If I could just get this on one piece of paper, that would be great.
We'll update it. Okay. We'll get that updated. So I think some of the questions that might come from the council, so already you said that the Lilac did not take their whole allotment for the year due to COVID.
They didn't take any, zero.
They took zero, and wasn't their request like 15,000 last year? Or no?
No, I think their amount was it was 6,000, I think, last year too.
And what about Y Racing?
Y Racing has already been reimbursed. They held their virtual, and they did provide receipts on all their tourism promotion. And then the Planner State Committee is left to turn in their receipts. And I don't know if they're going to have enough to count or not. Joy said they were working on it, so.
Okay. All right. And are you aware if Y Racing took their whole allotment, or was it only a portion because COVID hit right as they started going?
They took it all because they did do all their advertising, and they had, they gave the statistics for how many virtual runners they had and all that. And
Okay.
I think it was down about, I can't remember, it was half or 2/3, but they did have their event.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, perfect. Thank you. Questions on hotel motel?
If anyone could provide a clear explanation of virtual running, that would be great.
That's not really a question we can answer for you, Mr. Fredericks.
Thank you.
You bet. Mrs. Holland?
Y Racing actually was in, like 3 buildings down from where I work. And so they set it all up where cars drive through and pick up their packets. So they have like their race packets.
Like they did a legit running?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
And then they pull out and then they have the whole course thing. That at one of the, they also do the girlfriend race for the year. I think is that they just did that one a couple weeks ago. It's kind of interesting. They set it all up like it's a real event and people just drive through, pick up their stuff, and then they, I think, document it online. I thought it was pretty interesting.
Is it the Boston Marathon qualifier? Because I feel like I could participate in this and feel like I get a pretty good time.
They weren't. I think that was those other people.
Oh,
Yeah.
The other event. Yes.
But, so that's actually how they called their event. I did have a question.
Go ahead, Mrs. Holland.
So, the last time we had a conversation about the Chamber of Commerce and this, is this not like a couple weeks ago where we gave them the last 18,000 of whatever from last year's? Is that not where that money came from?
Yeah, it's this dollar figure, yes.
Okay.
And I want to say it was, Mrs. Rivy, correct me, what was the amount allotted last year?
55,000, I
55. I
believe.
wanted to say 55 for 2020, okay.
Yeah, and they just got their third payment that went through the Finance Committee and then the Council, 18,334.
Okay.
Did you have a question?
I just wanted to verify that that's in fact where that money, the 18,000
Oh,
was this
yes.
fund?
Yes, it's this fund, yes. So I thought you were doing math, I was waiting.
No, because I think they also get care funding?
That they haven't received yet, they're still trying to determine if it's spendable or not. If they're able to spend it or not, so they're still working. So no, yes and no.
Well, if not, we could certainly use some the infrastructure.
That's true.
And what is the request this year for the,
Chamber?
yes,
50,000 for 2021.
That's
Okay.
5,000 less.
and we're sure we've got the revenue in there, or is this not?
Revenue is showing 91,201.
I know what it's showing, but how does it
Oh.
come up with that? Is that what's in the bank right now, or is that what's projected to be in the bank?
Is it, Mrs. Rip, can you hear Mr. Fredericks?
No,
The 91,201, is that a projection or is that what we have right now?
that's a projection. That's fund balance plus tourism funds plus investment interest for 91,201.
Have we made,
And we're projecting revenues of 59,468 based on what we've received through October. And then we cut in half November, December, what we are expecting.
okay,
For September, let's see, August, September, October, we got a little over 4,000 a month.
and what is our typical collection?
Usually August, September, October has been 7,000 to 8,000 per month.
What was our projection for 2020 going through the process?
What was the number amount?
Yeah, for 20.
Our target was 66,000 and we reduced it to 40, well, just rounding off 42,000.
And we're projecting almost 60?
Correct.
Okay.
I don't have any more questions.
Okay.
I just curious.
Okay, thank you. Any further questions on the hotel motel tax request and recommendation? Okay, seeing none. Going to the second sheet, Mr. Boyd started and then we ended up taking a break because we were having some difficulties there. Are you up and running yet? No?
I can't get on to go to meeting.
Okay.
But,
You're just going to hit the mic there?
yeah.
Okay,
So
hit the mic.
Go through so we'll go through the agency requests. We started out on the sheet you see emergency services, and that's at 18,000. Last year we were looking at 17,885.
He's looking at the second sheet that I gave to you.
Does everyone have it? The second item is air pollution control at 3,350. The 2020 number was 3,239. Substance abuse, $1,600 both years. Mosquito control, $590 for 2021 and 2020. Let's see, intergovernmental, we have a diking assessment for $9,600, same as 2020. The Cowlitz Economic Development Council, we have at $5,000, same as 2020. The LCCAC at $1,500 both years. Professional services, this is animal control. We're estimating $14,500 for the expense. 2020 was $14,046. Downtown Woodland revitalization, we have at $0. Last year was $1,500. Miscellaneous, we have the Association of Washington Cities dues, $4,203, up a little bit from last year at $4,021. So those are the items in the agency request.
Mr. Fredericks?
Couple of things. First off, The way we're doing this, it works for me, but what I would like to actually see is another column, and I know you have a way of adding another column.
Okay.
That just tells me 2020 actual, and then tell me what through month, so through month 10, October. That way I can figure out, are we really spending $9,600 for diking? I don't know.
Right, so-
I'm assuming we're gonna spend all this money, but that's not just on this sheet. It's pretty much on every sheet that I've seen so far. It's in this format. I'd like to be able to see that. And second, where are we at with the animal control situation? It seems like we keep talking about this every year. And
That's where I was going to go.
Right, so we are under contract with them. As you remember, there was a significant increase, I think it was 2 years ago, in the contract amount. We investigated with other jurisdictions options and alternatives, and the consensus was there were no other good options. So we ended up staying where we were. So this is a continuation of that contract. And again, there's a slight increase this year compared to last, a little less than $500 increase. So the services are the same as in subsequent years. And the other jurisdictions and entities that participate are, as far as I know, likewise staying with the contract.
do these agencies that we're giving taxpayer money to, do they provide us what they're doing for the city of Woodland? Specifically, what is animal control doing in our city?
Yeah, they
haven't heard from these folks in a while, and mosquito control, I thought they passed their own tax. I'm not sure. I know it's only $500, but I'm not sure why we're giving them money if they've already passed their own tax to pay for mosquito control.
It's tacked onto property tax. Do we pay property tax?
No.
No.
That's the city's portion.
That's the city's portion of the mosquito control.
All right. So animal control does provide reports, so we'll get those to city council and maybe see if we could have the director come down and give an update.
Ask a question.
Mrs. Holland,
So what consists of emergency services?
where are you looking at? Emergency services?
Yeah, what is that?
I believe, is that this?
It's emergency yeah.
Yeah, Department of Emergency Management. That would be therefore. So going through the pandemic, massive storm comes through. Those folks that coordinate all the resources.
And then what substances use? Who are we sending to rehab?
We're not. And if we were, it'd be a lot more than that, I think. Substance abuse, do you know the agency for that? Is that a county agency?
I think
Mayor?
Yes, Mrs. Ripp?
That is the 2% of the liquor tax that we're required by RCW to remit, and they use it for preventative stuff at the different agencies.
Okay.
So they bill us quarterly, I believe.
Gotcha. Okay.
So that's actually just like a pass-through, you take 50% of the tax and then pass it on to the people?
Yes.
Okay. What is it? Air pollution?
I can speak to that. This one's my favorite. Are you not aware of this one?
No.
This is so much fun. So every citizen in the city limits of Woodland, we are charged for their use of air. Summarizing.
Nice. It's good to know.
Yeah. It's air tax.
Okay. And then.
Tried to quit breathing. But
Yeah, I tried to quit breathing to reduce the bill, but didn't happen.
So, and I'm just Because it doesn't
Nope,
say.
yeah.
I'm used to like having attachments.
Yeah, yeah.
It tells you who the thingy, what they're doing. So banking assessment, I assume that means they're assessing the right.
Yes, that goes into their coffers.
Okay.
Platform development.
And the Cowlitz Economic Development Council. So I
Mhm.
know they haven't met all year because Councilmember Rounds hasn't been to any meetings.
No, they,
No, that's not the same.
No, that's what I can count,
Oh,
that's
sorry.
the cog. That's the cog.
Okay, so Cowlitz Economical Development Council, I know they gave out grants. What are we paying it for?
Is it a membership into, it's a membership into their organization. And one of the things that they'll be helping us with is the, some of the CARES Act funding. So the county also used them to dish out the grants as well. They also hold events, well, when they could. And they're the ones.
And they bring business.
Yeah,
They
we
want to
contract
bring
with them. So we're members, so we can call upon them when we need some assistance or such as marketing property or trying to figure out, hey, we've got 426 acres, we're ready to get out there and start. The port uses them quite a bit, their members. What's that? I believe so, yeah. I think the majority of the entities in Cowlitz County pay them for assistance.
And what is an LCCAC? What is that abbreviation for?
It's a really good.
Columbia Council.
Oh, is that CAP? That's CAP. I think that's CAP.
Lower Columbia Community Action,
Program.
the CAP van.
Yeah, that's CAP.
Okay.
Still not washed.
Yeah. Still bothers me.
I think that's about it.
Okay. Anyone else?
Are we
yeah.
going to, I think, for the hotel motel stuff?
Mm-hmm.
So I know the Lilac Gardens uses their money. I'm remembering from previous attachments that they use theirs for advertising, and I've seen their TV ads.
Yes.
And Planners Day, I assume they use theirs for advertising.
Yes.
Why racing?
Advertising.
They do, yeah, advertising. The chamber.
They,
I kind of remember what.
yeah, it's to help support the visitor center.
it helps support the visitor center, which is a allowed use for the funding. And I know that we've talked about this before. I don't like saying chamber because really it doesn't go to chamber, it goes to the visitor center. So really, I think that there might be some confusion there a little bit.
Trying to remember what, I try to do the same thing.
Yeah, so if we maybe just try to train yourself that it's visitor center, and I will try to say that as well as we speak about it. That's what that money's used for. And I don't know if have we gotten their financials for the, not yet?
Well, I don't know, it would have gone to the clerk treasurer.
Oh, did you, Mrs. Ripp, have you received their budget for 2021 yet?
Yeah, we received all the agencies, and it's, you want a copy, I can send those out to you.
Yes, please.
Okay.
You good?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm done at Ask Them What's.
Okay, perfect. You bet. Anything else? Perfect. All right, moving on to debt service. I think we're back in the book now.
Yeah, so actually I'm not able to share the screen. I can't get on the go-to meeting, so.
Okay. It's going to be towards the packet that we got, I believe, in almost at the back.
Yeah, so it's right after the sewer reserve fund.
Right after sewer reserve
And
fund.
it's titled Combined Debt Service Funds.
There we
Revenue.
go.
Combined debt service funds. Combined debt service.
It's in the packet towards the back.
Got it.
Got it, I know.
It's going to start with our fund revenue. Okay.
Okay, and we have three debt service funds, 228, 229, and Fund 230. 228 and 229 are both in place to pay for the property and this structure we're sitting in tonight. Fund 230 has to do with the debt service we incurred Some of the original debt amount on this building and the property was used to help with the fire station, but there wasn't quite enough, so a couple of years ago we took out some additional debt to cover the fire station. So this represents those three funds combined, and we're looking at the revenue side of things. So you can see we're starting out with a fund balance of $396,837. We got retail sales and use tax, so that's a transfer from Fund 301, the Capital Reserve Fund, of, wait, I'm sorry. Yeah, so that's from 301 to 168,492. And then we submit general property tax to one of the funds in the amount of 117,000. And then miscellaneous revenues, mostly due to interest earnings of 6,600, leaves us with total resources of 742,329. The next page shows the expenditure side of it. So you'll see our expected ending fund balance for those three funds being $389,747. And then you can see the debt service. We're paying the principal amount of $191,000 for 2021. It's actually the same as 2020. And the interest at $160,042. There are a few miscellaneous other debt service costs of $1,540 for a total expenditure and fund balance equaling $742,329. Any questions on the debt service?
Mr. Fredericks.
Is it possible to get a debt service that shows me what the debt is for, how much we're paying for it on an annual basis, and when we expect it to be paid off?
Yes, we can get that for you.
Do we know if we have anything expiring in 2021?
I don't believe so, no.
2022?
I'll have to look at the amortization schedules, but no for 2022.
So now that help me understand a little bit now that we have a fire district. Can you tell me if anything will be coming off of our books and being transferred over to them so they can pay now? Because the money that we used to receive from property tax helped fund debt service related to fire projects. Will they now be assuming that debt?
Well, we're in negotiations with the fire district now. So the next step in the annexation is to negotiate the transfer of assets and, the transfer of debt, hopefully. So when we have an agreement together, we'll be coming to City Council for your input and guidance. But yeah, there's going to be a whole agreement that talks about, the fire station asset as a whole, the equipment, the fire truck, and we also need to talk about the fire station debt.
Basically, the fire, Clark County Fire and Rescue will be going through their capital plan, and so they need to assess exactly what the transfer is going to be from us. And then they'll take that and put that into their capital plan to either finish the station and what that timeline looks like as well. But the debt is part of that consideration too.
Really, the only thing that should be transferred over to them from a revenue standpoint should be fire impact.
Correct.
That we collect, it should be a pass-through directly to them.
Correct.
So, if that's the case, the monies we used to spend from that debt service on this land, what percentage of that of this land is for fire? It would seem to me that they would be responsible for paying the fire portion of it. I guess the term negotiating was used. Who's negotiating on behalf of the taxpayer with them?
So, and that's exactly what's happening. So everyone has a clear understanding moving forward exactly what the expectations are. And my understanding with my conversations with them is that of course, it's not on paper, but it is assumed that they will accept the debt as long as the city of Woodland continues to collect fire impact fees. So they can pay for that debt. So, and then also, we're looking at a transfer of assets such as fire trucks, like Mr. Boyce said, everything that is in the shop as it is now. Because if there's ever to dissolve that contract, they don't charge us back for that because then you're double charging the taxpayer. So we need to understand what exactly is there now, because if we ever go back, they're going to be investing obviously into that building and into newer equipment in there, and if the city of Woodland were to ever accept that back, there's got to be some kind of an understanding as well of what that looks like.
And I guess from my standpoint is I just want to make sure that if indeed we're transferring that over to the district to pay for it, because if we don't transfer those expenses over to the district and we do not have the revenue to pay for it, there's only one other way, there's two ways to do that. You can cut the existing services that you have today, or you can raise taxes to continue to pay for fire when it should be all on the district.
Yes.
So,
And this has been my concern from the very first time we've been talking about this. What happens to the debt?
Right.
So again, the understanding is as long as we continue to collect fire impact fees, that debt will be assumed.
Okay.
But of course, there's nothing in writing yet.
And is any of the debt that we're currently paying, other than the land where we're sitting, is there anything that is a capital project specifically for the fire department that we're paying now, other than the land?
The debt service fund 230 is specific to the building, to the fire building.
Right. Mr. Mayor, the clerk treasurer has some input too. She
Oh,
just
yes,
texted me.
Mrs. Rett. Do I have you
Is
mute?
she not there?
Oh, she's not here.
She
Mary,
did-
are you there?
So she indicated that a portion of the debt was for the fire truck, and that actually has been paid off.
Oh, did you catch?
Neither was the fire department.
Yeah, we just
Yep.
paid something.
Wasn't that last year?
Yeah,
I think that expired last year, if I remember right.
I believe so.
Yeah. So more to come on that conversation, I guess.
Can you hear me?
There you are. Yes.
Oh, I can't tell if white is on or white is off. The truck was paid off when we refinanced, I think back in 2005. We've been paying on the land and the building for the police station and the fire station.
Do you know? Mr. Frederick had asked about when the next expiration of debt will occur.
I can tell you that. Hold on. Also, just as information, this schedule is published annually in the annual report and also the audit. So you can be aware of that if that's someplace you wanted to look. All right, 1 second here.
That's what I thought you said.
So our long-term general obligation debt, the first one is for the Fund 230, and that expires in 2031, followed by the land and the police station in 2036, and the additional amount we borrowed in 2040. The next most recent that will expire will be in the sewer fund for the I forgot what DOE SRF stands for, but it expires in 2022 August.
What is it? In 2031, what's expiring? What is our annual payment on that?
What is expiring in 2031, and what is the annual payment on that?
That was the smaller amount that we borrowed the extra money to complete the fire station, and we're paying around $30,000 a year.
Okay. Thank you.
I think the other question Mr. Frederick brought up just shortly before is, do you know what the amounts are on the debt service that we actually still owe?
Yes. Our general obligation debt is almost 3.9 million at the end of 2019, and then we have our payments that we're just making the end of December this year. So
Okay.
that'll go down to 180,000, and then we have let's see, we have 4 water and sewer. Excuse me, 3 because one got paid off. We have 3 in the water and sewer fund. So I say sewer. This 2 sewer ones are, let's see, 478,000 and 338,000, and then the water debt is 692,000.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure what the percentage rates are on those, but have we considered and looked at refinancing them, depending on what the interest rates are?
I don't believe.
We have Public Works Trust Fund, and the rates are very low. And then I'd have to look up the rates on the LTGO. They were pretty competitive at the time because we had a good bond rating.
I want to say, was that like 1%? 1.5%? It's really, really low. Maybe.
I'd have to go in and look individually at those.
Okay.
Let's see. I might be able to pull that. Hold on. See what I have in here. Oops. Let's see. Our Fund 230, we're paying 2.72%. And let me see if I can tell on this. We're paying, let's see, on the 2012 issue, we're paying, well, it started out at 0.48 and then it graduates up. 2021, 2022 was 2.75 and 3%.
I don't know what rates are today for those types of things, but when we look at refinancing, I don't know, I'm sure there's some point where there's a cost benefit where, well, it's gonna cost us, it might not make sense, but have you looked at that?
No.
Yeah, we can go and ask our bond counsel again and our underwriters if it's recommended or not.
Feasible to do that.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay, seeing none. Enhancements are next on your list. We have a number of them there in the back of your book. I will go through these briefly here. If you have questions, please stop me.
Can I stop you before we go into this?
Yes.
So the enhancements, I've always found the enhancements, everyone puts their wish list together. All the department heads put their wish list together. And then it goes to the council. There's never been a way to pay for them, typically. And then we slice and dice. You try to figure out if there's anything that, we think is a priority. Has this ever gone into a, hey, all staff, mayor get into a room, and you guys prioritize 1 through 20? Because it seems to me kind of like everybody's trying to fight for any extra stuff that we have, and then it comes to us to be the heavies. I would like to see it where you give us 1 8.5 piece of paper that very clearly states exactly what is on here, with a list of 27 things in the priority that the city staff thinks is appropriate, and the mayor thinks is appropriate, and then it comes to council, and then we go, okay, let's go, because we always get this, and it's police,
Well, this
clerk
is
treasurer,
not
public
as in years past where you receive a packet of paper from all the departments. We have 2 departments that have submitted enhancements this year. Just 2 departments.
Well, the clerk treasurer also, it's
Oh, I don't see
it's
her.
in her original packet.
Oh, it's on the original
So-
packet. I'm sorry.
So Mr. Fredericks,
one page. Thumbing through pages and trying to go back and forth and trying to, I think for ease of this process for members of this council, I think it'd be better to have it all on one 8.5 by 11 piece of paper, prioritized by the city on what they think. Because I might think a Sally port is really important.
Right.
Ms. Graham might think that cable TV or an emergency generator is more important, or an internet is more important, because, you know, we have citizens who can't follow along in this process because the website doesn't work. I'm only one person. We can continue through the rest of this, but
There are a number, how about this? There are a number of enhancements that have been given in this budget, and we can kick off the next portion of discussion, since there is quite a bit to talk about, and we will arrive at our next meeting with that list to assist you in possibly making a determination.
unless the majority of this council thinks that I'm a little off my rocker and they'd like to have something done completely different, I'm all open for that. It's just me. I'm only one member.
and Councilmember Fredericks, I wanted to mention too that the mayor and I do make a recommendation. If the recommendation's the preliminary budget, so you will see an enhancement in the budget, such as the redo of the website, for instance. It's in the budget currently, but we'll do as requested and put it all on one sheet of paper and come back with it at the next meeting.
So I was under the impression that the website was an enhancement, not actually in the budget.
Well,
It is an enhancement that we felt was necessary and added into the budget already. It is in the budget already.
Got it. So you did prioritize them.
Yes.
The ones that are left over are the ones that didn't make the cut, so to speak.
correct, and we did not prioritize those altogether. Each individual department prioritized their own.
Okay. Got it.
Okay.
We can, yeah.
So clerk treasurers, and that's the last page of the first chunk, and then it's just a page that
I think and then community development is the very last page.
yeah, so there's like 7, 6, 7.
For consideration, yes. Perhaps, and Mr. Fredericks states this very often, maybe he will find $50,000 in cuts and to provide a Sally port that he thinks is
Well-
necessary, or, I'm just saying, in general
I will
terms.
tell you the difference between this year's budget and previous year's budget. This previous year's budget, I had the intel where I could go in a specific general fund and go, hey, this doesn't seem right to me. Tell me why we're doing it this way. And then we would have dialogue. I missed that with this new process because it is missing the where are you at 2020 through 10 months. Because what I've seen in the past is a request, we spent $20,000, and here's an example. We spent $20,000 in 2019. In 2020, we spent $23,000, and in 2021, we need $45,000. I'm missing that detail, and so that's detail that I've had specifically. Now, some might argue that, well, we don't budget that way. We go through this budgeting process just looking at the fund balance. We don't want to bore you with the minutia. But I have found a considerable amount in that minutia where we're able to have a conversation of tell me more about why we're doing it this way. And it's not that I don't trust anyone, it's just that I trust but verify. And I find that I might be able to come up with $50,000 for the police department and be able to fund some of these priorities. Maybe I think that's more important than funding something else. And it allows me, as a policymaker, to make a judgment call on what I think is better for the community. I missed that through this new process. And I'm sure we can add 2020 actuals through October to this. Am I wrong with that? In that thinking?
So, Mr. Fredericks, the clerk treasurer is preparing that level of detail for you.
Okay.
However, in exporting some of these documents onto paper, the formatting gets a little cumbersome and confusing. A better way to find that amount of detail would be to log into the website, and I can give you a one-on-one tutorial, or any city councilor who would like to do that. And I think you'd be able to get the information you need in a quicker, easier to understand fashion. But the clerk treasurer is presenting or preparing spreadsheets and documents for you also. But I would encourage you to sign on to the website so you can drill down on some of those details that you need. And like I said, I'd be more than happy to sit down with you and show you how it works.
I'm going to ask another question here, and I really appreciate that. Can you tell me if we have a quick glance guide? I don't do real well with, I have to do it myself. That's how I kind of learn. I get in and I play with it myself and I try to figure out how it works. Is there a quick glance guide that will teach someone how to get this specific information? Because I would assume if this is something that is going to be in the hands of the public, where they'll be able to do the same thing, I would assume it's rather intuitive and it will allow me to do the same.
It is, and there are help features on the website where you can pull up videos that show you, that walk you through the process. But it is pretty easy to use.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Boyce.
All right. And with that, I will open it up for discussion.
For the enhancements?
No, I thought you were waiting for a list.
I don't, that's just me, I don't know. I don't
Okay.
know.
Unless there's further discussion on the enhancements.
We're going to discuss them now, or put them all on one sheet?
Well, we can just open up the floor. So the budget has been delivered at this moment. Unless you want to continue discussing the enhancements by department and priority. And if not, then we are kicking it over to you for remarks. Or discussion
So
topics.
I have some questions.
Okay.
So like real people, all of this debt, like we were just discussing, the building we're in, the property it sits on, the fire department, the property it sits on, the debt service. And one of them was what, $30K a year is the payment, right?
Yes.
So what real people do in the real world is they like take all of the things they owe money on and kind of pick them off, you know, like pay off one and then that. So you get done with being in debt quicker, I guess is the way to put it. And this is all cool and all that it takes like 20 more years to pay off something. But it seems like there should be a faster process. Like, is there some rule that says you can't, you have extra money over here in this fund that you can't just chuck it at one of the debts that is owed? Is that?
Well.
I don't understand how.
So, well,
how
portion-
this is different than how real people have to pay their bills.
So when you look at Mrs. Rip gave us a $3.9 million figure. I'm looking at about 1.5 of it is roughly, of course, 2 sewers and a water. That debt service was taken on based on water rates. So our water rates are going to be, our water and sewer rates will be at a certain amount, and this is how much we pay because that's how much we're actually collecting to pay for that debt service. That makes sense. So the other, though, is a great question because the other, whatever remaining number is, that I don't know. That I can't answer to.
So I'm tracking with Ms. Holland, I don't know exactly what, I think I know
Yes.
exactly what she's saying.
And I feel the same way, by the
So
way.
we have $30,000 a year that we're paying for long-term debt obligation that expires in 2031.
Yes.
So if I were at home, I would try to find another $30,000 and match that so it could be paid off earlier. So instead of 2031, say we get it paid off in 2025. Nothing prevents us from finding X amount of dollars and saying, you know what? I think it is more important as a policymaker that we start paying down our debt sooner. And you can take $100,000 out of the general fund, you can take it out of the 301 reserve fund, and start paying down your debt quicker. You can absolutely do that. It is an option. Now, I don't know if there's any, Mary would be able to tell us on this, if there's any prepayment penalties where if we pay it early, then we end up with a penalty. Sometimes that's the case, but I'm not sure how long-term debt obligation works here. Paying it back. That's Mary for that. Mary for that.
Mary, did you hear Mr. Frederick's question?
Are there any prepayment penalties?
Yes. I do not believe there's any penalties.
Okay.
So do you just need to have, if that were a policymaker's decision, you just need to have 3 people that agree with you and voila, it's done.
But I would caution a little bit, just because we're still not within policy with our reserves, and
Right.
so that's kind of a little bit of a game too.
So what I was thinking is, in the last couple of finance committee meetings we've had, there's extra money now because the extra sales tax
Right.
revenue that's being generated.
Yes.
So it seems like after that particular funding source, we'll just call them a funding source.
Funding source.
When that particular funding source has a few more months under their belt, we could kind of gauge how much they're good for every month in a pandemic. So that extra money doesn't necessarily, it can just go towards the 3-month in case of emergency fund, correct? Like,
Yes.
it's just sales tax revenue
Yes.
sitting there. So instead of getting all excited and spending it on whatever, we could actually just start putting that away. So the extra $30K this month could go towards the in case of emergency fund.
Yes.
Right.
Is that-
Well, and I should caution you a little bit, when, I believe when the Finance Committee looked at the sales tax levels, they were compared to the 2019 amounts that were coming in. For 2020, we did budget a little bit more in sales tax, so part of that increase is baked into the 2020 expenditure level. So it might be a little bit less than comparing it straight with 2019. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there's nothing that says that we can't just decide that money that comes from that one place is allocated specifically for the in case of emergency fund.
Correct.
Okay. Because it would, I mean, they weren't here in previous budgets.
And we made no allocations for that particular business in 2020. going into this year. We made not $1 was coming into the city because we didn't know how it was going to operate.
Right, and so what I think would be very prudent is to not, or maybe prudent isn't the right word, but not do let's not revisit the Oak Tree fiasco of tying anything to money that, isn't guaranteed. Like, because that was ridiculous. And so this new chunk of money that comes in every month, we don't necessarily have to immediately spend it on something, like something in the enhancements or the whatever, we can just put that away and in case of emergency fund. We can look at things down the road of if there's, quote, extra money, it can go to paying debt. Like, I mean, realistically, the city is funded by people who have to live this way, where real people have to budget their money and they have to take whatever extra money they have, and instead of running out and buying a new TV or whatever, they put that money towards their car payment or whatever so they can pay the car off faster. So it seems like we could be really bold and do something like real people, the people who pay for this building have to live, right? I mean, there's no reason that we can't do something like crazy and do it like real people. So I'm just throwing that out there. I just wanted to make sure that you can actually move money from sales tax that just happens to pop up and be a new big chunk of money that wasn't there before, and put it in the place that needs the money.
Right, and so that's absolutely doable. When you see those sales tax numbers come in too, that maybe in excess of what we budgeted, that money's going to the, basically the fund balance of the general fund. So it's able to be retained there, or city council can choose to put it towards debt service or wherever. So that is a policy decision council can make.
Can I add something to
Mr.
what
Frederick.
she just said? I think the challenge is an example would be we have a new business that comes to town and we're generating $20,000 additional in tax revenue. Let's just say the last 3 months. We've generated $60,000 in additional revenue that we did not anticipate, and we were provided and we approved a balanced budget as we're required to do by law. So if we are generating more revenue, what typically ends up happening is we do a budget amendment at the end. So we'll do a budget amendment for Q4 in January or February, whatever the deadline is, and we'll true up those numbers. But you're absolutely right. Many times what happens is if we have additional revenue, we will do it and throw it into the ending fund balance, and it just sort of goes into the checking account, and we always have figured out a way to spend that the next year. And that's just a way it goes to fund. We get expensive union contracts that cost those costs, and we collect an additional, I think, $35,000 in property tax revenue a year. So unfortunately, the additional revenue is always eaten up, and it's never there. I mean, because when I first got here, I thought, I'm going to be able to find tons of money, and I'm going to be able to cut so much. And I think the first year that I did it, I annoyed a few people. Ms. Rip can probably remember that. I think it was like $100,000 that I was able to find. But those were the days when we got budgets that were $500,000 out of whack. And so I find that to be frustrating as well, because I know in my mind, if you have additional revenue, you ought to be able to take that and go, okay, maybe we can take that money and put it towards an enhancement. Maybe we, instead of waiting until 2021, why don't we just say, hey, I know we've collected $25,000 more in tax, retail sales tax, go out and buy that generator that you need in the police department. Get it done. We're not presented with that. We're not presented with that option. We're presented with Q4 budget amendments each quarter, Q1, 2, 3, 4. But when we get to the last one of the year, That's when that revenue true-up number comes in that you're referring to, that says, hey, we're gonna true up this number. But what I've always found is typically, and we true up the expenses, but that always goes into ending fund balance. It doesn't, and it'll get spent on something the previous year, or the next year, not the previous year. It'll always get spent on something the next year. But I'm with you. If we know we've collected an additional $45,000 in sales tax, what do we do with that $45,000? We could actually make a decision right now that says, hey, I want you to spend that $45,000 on this in 2021. And I don't know what the number is. I'm just throwing that out there. But we have the ability to do that. And the only thing that I ask is if certain members of council want to do something like that, just send it to the finance committee for consideration. And likewise, the mayor's staff can come to us and say, hey, we've got this, and it would have to go through the mayor, and we could discuss it at the finance committee. But it's definitely a valid point.
You would probably remember, I think even Chief Crochet was asking for for instance, a Sally Port cover. Yes. So that's been a request for years. And
5 years.
Yes.
How long have we been in this building?
Ever since we opened the building, they started.
I can't.
And if I remember correctly, there was also at the same time, the cover is supposed to go out here so that they're not out in the open.
Out back here.
Out back here.
Yep.
Okay.
It's supposed to go over that way they can.
The secured area.
They can get it to where there's no rain coming down on them when people are getting out of their car. Is that the main?
Well, no, it's for search warrant.
About an electrical outlet out there that they would get electrocuted, if I remember.
I think there was that discussion.
Yes.
Yeah, I vaguely remember that.
So yeah, I thought that was one of these that has been here for years and years and years. And at some point, I mean, I guess I give them credit for continuing to ask for the thing that they still need and they don't get. But at some point, it's like, can we just all agree that if it's important enough to be presented for 5 years, then maybe we can come up with a way to give it to them? I mean, it just seems like that would be the nice thing, if nothing else, the nice thing to do for, putting it before us for 5 years.
So some might argue, though, like I have a feeling that I could come up with $75,000 and get it paid for, and have it be part of the existing police budget either this year or next year. It's there. Gotta be. We can get it done. But it's, again, it would require staff to say, okay, hey, council wants to pay for this Sally Port. Can you find it in the existing budget in 2020? And they'll probably say, well, no, we can't find it. Or, yes, we can. But it takes a group of 4 to ask that and have it go through the committee to have it studied there, if that's a priority for us. And I think there's been a couple council members that have sat next to me that have been very frustrated because they feel like they don't have any control, and they feel like every single week we walk into the council meeting and it's a list of what staff wants us to do. But individual members of the council have the ability to do those types of things. If there's something that's important to you and you feel that it'll benefit the community, then absolutely we can have those discussions. And I've requested things be the Human Resources Committee. I would get extremely frustrated when things would come to this committee not vetted. So we end up having to ask a lot of questions that should have been answered in the committee, and they get to us, and now it's in front of the public. And that's great, it's open government, that's great, but the idea is that they're supposed to be vetted at the committee, and then when we get it, we have an understanding of what went on. So I've asked for that before to be done, so. But the Sally Port, obviously, if I'm understanding correctly, was not that important to make it to the budget. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
Other things were picked over the Sally Port from an administrative standpoint.
Yes.
Okay.
I would agree with that statement, yes.
Yeah.
Grab some ideas.
That's fine. And it should be noticed, not that we don't think it's not important. It's just,
From a priority
from a
standpoint.
priority standpoint, there were other things that took precedence over that.
Well, yeah, like, there's important equipment that they need.
Right.
That
Right.
is, that's of course going to be a priority. But I come from like a totally different background where when I took over a particular thing, it was about to close it with so day. And it was a lot of tough budget cutting and a lot of cutting out unnecessary things. And everybody had to get on board with working as a team, because essentially everybody here is part of the same team. Everybody here is part of this town, and to get public support, you have to kind of just present it that this is what we're doing with your money. I have donors that I have to say, hey, this is what I do with your money. It's kind of the same thing. People get tired of finding out that their money was spent on whatever because they have an opinion. Of course, they're not here or online or whatever. But everybody has an opinion. But it's really easy to just go, look at what we did. Because there's not a lot of look at what we did. If you think about the last year, there's not a lot of, hey guys, look at what we did by the end of the year. Look at all the accomplishments we made. And so those are things that if you have things you can show that you did, you get more public support, I guess, is kind of where I'm going with that. I think the team aspect, I know we've had COVID and everything, and now we're here, there, everywhere, I hate this, but I think when we have a normal life again and we're back to being part of, in the same room where everybody can get together and be part of the same team, maybe we can have better conversations about this kind of stuff, but I know it's possible, and I'm really kind of tired as a resident and a taxpayer. I'm kind of tired of always, it seems like this lives a heck of a lot better than the people who are paying for it. And I don't want anybody to think I'm attacking their positions or anything like that, because I'm not. I totally think everybody's valuable. But I think realistically, this kind of stuff I think people need to have a realization that the people paying for everything in this budget have to struggle to be able to provide these things. And I think that's the perspective I look at it. I looked at all of this, and that's kind of where I come from. I don't know about anybody else, but like, I could never afford half of this stuff in here. Like if this was me, not even at my business, like I'm poor folks. I'll straight up tell you, this is, so I'm just trying to look at it like how I would pay for things. And I know Tracy has done an amazing job of getting grants for things, but we also have to come up with a way to help her provide the match so projects can happen. And so these are all, this is cool, and I have to agree with Mr. Frederick, this is insane. I have clicked around in this like a mad woman, and I end up in, I don't even know what report I'm looking at. I'm looking at all kinds of things because I'm posting and going, clearly that's not what I need to look at. So I'm sure there's a better way of doing it. I just really don't have the time right now to try and figure out, navigate the program. You know, I guess I'm old school and I'm used to the way it used to be, where I just click on the agenda and here's the budget, and then I can click the tab for public works and here's every little thing attached to it. So, anyway. I know I'm rattling and getting
You're fine. Mr. Chapman?
Well, when we did the budgeting, we didn't project anything from our down the street here income, right?
I think Mr. Boyce said not for 2020 we did not, but going into 2021 we have a little bit.
Projection, okay. So we didn't do anything. I know one of the new businesses already just opened up down on 22. We got two more being built, Have we got any idea of what kind of projection of what kind of revenue would be coming from those, or any
No,
idea?
that is not calculated in the budget at this time.
Well, no, it's not calculated, but we have a rough idea maybe of what
We
might be
don't,
coming?
we don't behave that way at my office.
Okay.
We wait until it starts coming in before we,
And then, actually, that could be another snowfall of the fourth quarter sharing up, redoing
yeah,
the
those ones,
budget.
I don't know when, Mr. Goddard, are you on here? Can you hear me? Do you know that the businesses on 22, we've got a number of them growing. Do we know a completion date on those? Is it 2021? They'll be completed?
So there were 2 businesses approved in 2018 that have not been constructed. There was 1 business in 2019 that has not been constructed, and there are 2 businesses that were approved in 2020 that are already under construction. So, in addition, there was also the AMPM. I'm sorry, that was a 2020. So there are 3 projects in 2020 that have already started construction. So there seems to be no rhyme or reason about how long it takes for a project to be approved and when it starts construction. But there are 3 more that are waiting construction.
Gotcha, okay. Thank you. Judging by the construction of our newest large facility, it will be probably towards the end of the year, I imagine, late into 2021 that those
Well, that's
will open.
Well, while I was looking, to me, if we can just hang in there, I see good things coming towards Woodland and the city of Woodland. If we can just kind of hang in there, everything keeps moving forward. As long as we don't have another COVID setback and the wheels fall off of something. I mean,
No.
I'm hoping we can get more things for like chief and city and get some more grant dollars backed up so Tracy can go after some big ones and stuff, and we have some matching dollars for it. But we just don't quite have all the revenue coming in that we need right now to do that.
Yes.
Question?
Mr. Fredericks?
Is there a way to do an analysis on the tax revenue that we receive for the new tax that was just passed last year? When was that passed?
The new tax that was passed.
Yeah, so,
Property tax, is that hit?
so I should have mentioned that in fund balance. So we are developing a spreadsheet for the Prop 1 money for law enforcement. And at the end of the year, we'll be truing up the expenditures compared to the revenues that are being brought in. And we'll restrict that revenue because it can only be used for, the new police positions and general equipment for the police department. So we plan on keeping that updated on a monthly basis, and we can submit that to the finance committee so they can track it over time.
Does a Sallyport count?
I knew you were going to ask that.
It could.
It could.
So that's my question. Are we able to use any of that money this year? It's just going to go into ending fund balance anyway, which is just going to make your beginning fund balance greater.
If city council defines it as equipment, then it could be an eligible expense.
Well, certainly if we can spend COVID money to pay a light bill for a business, I think we could get a little creative. Thank you, Mr. Chapman. You might be able to get priority 1 and priority 2 paid for, but I don't know what those numbers look like. I don't know what we're looking at.
So
That would be an analysis that would have to be completed by staff.
We'll do that analysis and report back.
So we're going to talk more about the enhancements, because I have questions.
Go ahead.
Community development department and code enforcement position.
Yes.
So was that position somebody that was furloughed, it's been a long COVID season, so.
Right.
Were they,
They were not furloughed. The position was put on, how do I?
Layoff.
Thank you. Layoff, yes. It was a layoff. The position was, and correct me if I'm wrong, was not accounted for in the 2021 budget.
Correct.
but currently, who do you mean that?
The duties have been distributed through the department, mainly the permit technician at this time.
So are we doing anything proactively, or is it all 100% reactive, depending on who calls in to complain?
Reactive.
Okay?
And it's
Have we
not
always
the
done
same
that?
level of service as we had before.
Not the same level of services we've always had before, but yes, there was a small, well, you have to remember too that position was only part-time, 20 hours a week. So a lot of the work was reactive work already.
Right.
However, there's no one dedicated to it as we've had in the past.
Do you know how many reactive complaints we're receiving on a weekly basis? Is there a number for that?
Mr. Goddard might be able to answer that.
Travis,
It's locked up. That
Hello?
one's
He's
locked
frozen.
is he frozen?
up. Oh, it's moving.
Oh, it's, I didn't hear the question.
Everybody needs to go to the Coleman's house, she always has good internet.
She always got good internet at Coleman.
Oh man, yeah.
What? I'll text Travis.
All right.
Oh, I'll text you.
Travis is not muted,
Nope.
Yeah,
he
he's
just
not
went really
muted, huh?
fast.
catching up.
It's as soon as he speaks.
Is he watching hockey?
There's gotta be an easier way.
I was also curious.
Yes,
Get
go ahead.
on, and why their computer costs $1,800? What's special about theirs that it's $1,800?
Well, can't do it on
I mean,
He said he froze up and he's gonna log out and log back in real quick.
Okay.
Excellent, we're here all day.
Do we have?
And all night if we keep on.
I hope I get to stay at a Motel 6.
Way past my
Yeah,
bedtime.
like my work computer, and it's for specifically dealing with big art files and stuff like that, because $600 for my laptop was $600. I just wondered what was special about this. Anyway, $1,800 computers.
What computer is it?
What's that, Mary?
What computer is it?
The enhancement for Mr. Goddard saying that $1,800 for a new computer.
Item 9 indicates there's no expense for the computer,
I don't remember seeing that one, sorry.
the way I read it.
Sorry about that. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
There we go.
Okay. Sorry, what was the question?
I forgot, it's an
My
hour ago.
question was, how many reactive calls are we taking in a week for code enforcement?
So, on the average, we field probably a couple calls a week, but we are not getting a lot of formal complaints, simply because people are not willing to file code enforcement complaints because we don't do anonymous complaints.
And, okay, thank you. And then in your enhancement for the code enforcement officer, it says total cost is blah, blah, plus $1,800 for a computer. The $1,800 for that computer, what makes it so special that it's so much money?
I wasn't sure what the cost of a computer would be or whether it was a single or double monitor hookup.
Gotcha.
So I thought that was the maximum possible.
What I'm hearing is that you put a swag in there.
Yes.
Thank you.
For the record, I've received 3 complaints on me.
That was to an HOA, it doesn't count.
No, through the city.
Okay.
So then, my other question would be for the chief.
Chief Kelly?
Wake up.
Present.
So, did you hear that we were debating on how to get you a Sally port?
I heard.
So what are your thoughts on that?
Well, it should have been put on the building. That was way before my time, but funds were moved elsewhere. And I get it. But there's no secure place to conduct search warrants for vehicles. There's no place to examine evidence that may or may not be on a vehicle or within that vehicle without dealing with the weather. So that's one of the main reasons. And it would be a little bit more secure than a fence, because that's where we bring prisoners in there to go into the holding cells and be processed for DUI. And we also have 2 interview rooms in the back portion there that are only accessible either through the squad room or through the Sally Port entrance into the building. And we don't bring defendants or suspects through the squad room because we don't want them to see the layout of the PD. So the only viable door or access to use would be the Sally Port.
Thank you for your explanation. So is this something you really like? Just tell me yes or no.
Yes.
Okay. That's all I needed.
Yes. All right. Thank you, Chief.
No, thank you.
So it seems like if we can find out what's going on with the Prop 1 money that wasn't spent, this would be, I don't know that under the guise of equipment, it would technically qualify for equipment, but for a safety aspect, it sounds like it is of value, it would prove to be valuable to the safety of the people employed, the police officers here.
So, yes.
That's how I would, that's how I take this explanation.
But
So,
can I clarify something? I don't want to take your time.
No,
Are
go
you okay
ahead.
with that? Just to clarify, we have spent money for equipment out of that money, so it's.
Yes, vehicles,
So we
vehicle
don't-
purchases.
There may only be like $20,000 left. We have no idea what we're.
Right.
Right.
And Mr. Boyce is working on that matrix.
Right. Plus, we have the new hires that started this month.
And we have new hires that have started now.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there may be very little.
It's possible.
It's just an assumption.
But maybe there might be enough for number 4, which sounds really fun, live scan fingerprint imaging machine.
That's definitely equipment.
Exactly. That sounds like equipment. Mobile data computer rotation, that one comes up often.
Mm-hmm.
I was always impressed that someone was getting parts from eBay.
Yes.
So yeah, it sounds like, so some of these things we could maybe acquire. We just need to know how much money is in that fund. These are totally doable. The back half of this, I think, is totally doable.
Well, and I will mention too that when we started the whole Sally Port cover conversation 5 years ago, it was at $60,000. So
Yeah, every
price has
time-
gone up.
Well, and that's the thing, is what I've noticed is if it says city, the price is more. And it takes longer, and every year it goes up. That's just kind of, it's not like what normal people would pay. So, I'm just saying.
It's
And
true.
it has been explained to me that because it is, and not from this city, it's been explained to me by other municipalities, that because of city, it makes it cost more. And I find that intriguing that businesses that that's actually a thing.
Or
The
they don't
businesses
pay
can charge the city
Chevy
more.
Miller.
When you go and do a prevailing wage.
We're gonna
laws
be paying
also.
prevailing wage.
So they're gonna have to pay the prevailing wage in that area. If you're not sure how prevailing wage laws work, so if somebody makes,
$75 an hour as an electrician, and 51% of the people in that area make $75 as an electrician, the city has to pay $75 as an electrician. Now, if the majority of the people make $40 an hour, and 51% of the people make $40 an hour, that's the prevailing wage. The city would have to pay at least $40 an hour.
So this building, we did not have enough funding to pay for a prevailing wage. And so we had it built off-site and trucked in.
I
And,
remember that.
and the state legislature changed the law the very next year that said you can't do that anymore. So we were trying to be, because you yourself, you wouldn't do that at your own home. You know, I'm gonna pay prevailing wage to have this put in. No, I'm gonna take 3 bids and I'll take the one in the middle and I'll still be 75% lower than prevailing wage.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Money's the problem.
I've got to give her time.
Oh my God. Wow.
So these ones were doable, and then the one for the clerk treasurer's office, that one I think that one is a lot more about payroll and staff members.
There we go.
It's,
Okay.
yeah, in kind of the middle of the thing.
Okay.
So this is.
Mayor?
What's that?
We had our last finance committee meeting, and I also was told by the finance committee that I had a request in for some premium service for support with OpenGov, and they asked me to place it on the enhancement list, and so that's not before them yet. The amount was $4,400. And OpenGov has replied back to me. I asked them to negotiate that price, and they brought it down to $3,600.
Can we negotiate more?
Going at it one more time.
That's actually a pretty good negotiation.
So just want to bring that to your attention. That was an add-on that was not on the list.
Thank you.
For everybody else, it's so that everybody gets tech support when they need it in real time for this program that all of our stuff is now
Instead of waiting a couple of days.
in. Yeah.
Now, the initial thought on that from me was, and I don't know if any others share that, is that that's something that maybe should have been done on the front end. And so we said, put it on the enhancement list. And I'm assuming that that's gonna also be, maybe you can find $4,400 and put that in the 2021 budget, because it seems like they need it.
Going by tonight, definitely.
And then there's that from Miss Rounds.
Well, so some of this, since it's staff related, like this is your, Mr. Mayor, this is your office. That's how I look at it. The city hall is your domain. So this stormwater utilities, is it, I thought we had talked about maybe outsourcing the billing.
So there is our requote for services.
Request for proposals, yep.
Thank you. Request for proposals that is out now for monthly billing.
Actually, we got 2 proposals turned in.
Okay. So this is a FT utility clerk. So if you remember going back through the FCS group, that is one of the things that they recommend as we move forward into is with monthly billing as well, that you would need to hire an additional billing clerk, but that's built, again, that's one of those things that's built into the rate already.
And that's if we go to monthly.
if we go to monthly.
But this one here is just for stormwater. So we're adding stormwater.
Possibly. I don't think that's completely past Jeff, but yeah, I know where you're going. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So, when should we expect to see the bids or whatever they're giving us for billing?
At the next council meeting.
Perfect. Next Monday.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So some of you
And there, with regard to that, I've already been contacted by the Teamsters. There will have to be some conversation about what's union work and what's not. And I'm consulting our labor attorney about that now, just so everyone's aware.
seriously. So entering a bill or receiving a payment, there's a differentiation in clerical work as to what part of that is union and what part is not.
Yes.
Okay.
Unfortunately.
I mean, well, that's the thing though, is my daddy was in a union my whole life. A little different than this kind of thing. So where do we get the list of what someone is allowed to do?
Union and non.
We're working on that with the union representative at this time.
And the labor attorney.
And the labor attorney, yeah.
And that costs the taxpayers how much? Like, how much is this union, the labor attorney an hour, like roughly?
It's 200 some an hour.
Ms. Holland, most people would close it down and open it up under new management in 6 months. That's usually how that would be done, but we don't have that luxury.
I just find it interesting, so.
Yeah, unions.
See, that's why I get to ask all these questions.
So council is where we are coming up to the final 3 minutes of the meeting unless someone extends the time, just so you're aware.
Y'all can go to sleep.
I was gonna say, make a motion to adjourn.
I got a big break.
I don't want to, can we,
Somebody went-
I guess, can we finish this with Mrs. Holland and then end the meeting? So we're not halfway through a thought?
Well, that's the thing, I take my glasses off, I can't see
Yeah.
the clock, I don't know what time.
And I don't know, do we have a workshop scheduled for Monday as well, or will it be the following Monday?
We'll tack one on to the end of the meeting, but we do have quite a few items on the agenda, including all of the utility rate information and the public hearing. So.
Gotcha.
Plus, there's been a list of 10 things that staff has promised council, so
Yeah.
it's going to take some time to generate those
Okay.
items.
So can we, so if we have the workshop on Monday, can we agree that, so I'm really enthralled by the treasurer's enhancement list. So I don't know if anybody has opinions about the rest of it, but the workshop, all I need is this one.
You got questions on that?
Yes.
Okay.
So.
I have many opinions, most of which I probably won't share.
But that's, so this one, because it's pretty detailed and they're not all similar. They're very individual, so I think each one kind of has a conversation, but one of the things was the website. And I did email Mr. Boyce because the security certification for the website has expired.
Okay.
So it pops up in the corner and tells you, do not put your money information into here because it is not secure. I don't know, go to the
Well,
city website and look
yeah.
at the corner.
And it was explained to me by our IT person, and some of it's over my head for sure, but the website is secure. However, because of the age of the website, this notice gets kicked out. So the website is secure, but in order to get that notice to go away, we're going to have to invest in the old website, which doesn't make a lot of sense right now. That's why we're recommending money in the 2021 budget for a new upgraded website that's ADA compliant and up to snuff.
How much is that? How much is the new website?
How much did we budget? On top of your head?
Treasurer Rip might know off the top of her head.
Mrs. Rip, do you know how much we budgeted for a new website?
It's a Sally Port.
Let me look, hold on.
A couple years ago, $50,000.
That wasn't us, but that was just massive.
I think it was around 16,000.
1.6.
So see, aren't you glad we didn't pay for that? $50,000 website? 16 now. So you could theoretically spend the $16,000 now out of the 2020 budget. And that would free up $20,000 for next year's budget, or $16,000 for next year's budget. But I don't think that we can get it done and paid for and installed in the month of November, December.
No, I don't think so either.
No.
Not by the time we go out for bids and everything else, I don't think so.
Do we have to go out for bids? Can we call emergency and get some money?
There was something attached to a finance committee meeting agenda a couple months ago about this website. I just think we need to get to it in the meeting. But that number sounds familiar. Anywho.
Oh, wow, that was fast. Move to adjourn by Councilmember Holland, seconded by Councilmember Fredericks. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? The time is 10:02. Thank you, everybody. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Remember to get Deanna's meeting
This
for the
conference is
audit.
no
I will.
longer being recorded.
Yes, I
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Bye.
Just because I can. Wait.
Here's, okay. Good night. No, she would never. Good night, Tracy.
What?
Oh, I almost said it in meeting for all. Good night.
Hi, John Boy.
Oh my God, she kills me.
Mayor, I got a list of 10 promises on it.
10 promises were made this evening.
Yes.
Everything's been shut down.
I'm tracking.
That's about where I'm going with all of that. So November 20th.
Yes, she's got
That looks like everybody's okay on that day, and that's.
11 a.m. to 12.
Boys,
Yes.
you sounded like you were in a cave. The whole
Did you
meeting.
go for that?
Yeah.
It would have been better for you just to go home and call us.
I signed up for a webinar through AWC,
You know what you should do if I were you?
and that's like 3 days worth, so like none of those are on those days.
Okay.
Someone else set this up, and then I would get.
I think it's a good $25 I'm spending, it's 3
Take that
days
home,
worth,
plug it into your computer.
and
Good night.
it's managing risks associated with homelessness.
Oh, nice.
You should be at home right
Good night, Carl.
now. You can just shut the computer off.
But it's 3 days.
3 days,
Oh my
yeah.
God.
It's an hour, each day is 2 hours.
Each day is, say that again, I'm sorry.
Each day is 2 hours.
Well, that's not too bad, I guess.
Yeah, or
Okay.
3
So
days.
6 hours, that's not too bad.
I'm almost done with my certification for the year.
Some of the information you
Because
have.
apparently you get points for watching webinars.
Oh, yeah, you do. You get points and then you get a little certificate saying, oh, look at me, I'm a government.
I have no life. I watch and listen to these while I do my job.
1%, that's extra.
She says, I'll send everyone the remote meeting invite.
No, that's not how you do that. Turn it on here.
Healthcare benefits. I have notes, I know what I would say. So if you need clarification, shoot me a text, that's usually the best way to get a hold of me. And then I can clarify. I might have to go up to my car, but. I'm not. I'm just kidding.
Meeting is over.
Hey, I get
You're
equal
allowed to
treatment.
leave now.
Equal treatment.
Did everyone get a chance to sign their release card? This is what we're.
Honeymoon's over.
Oh, you're sticking around for a few more years.
My nose
I'm
is
not
hurt.
being nice.
So then people think I'm sick because I'm
Who's
sick.
hanging out for a couple more years?
Well,
You?
when she take time to talk to
Awesome.
you now.
This guy.
That's great.
Mr. Boyce is super upset.
The rate we're going, I don't even know where to do this.
Why?
Oh, no, I didn't hear. I can do that real quick. Yes, thank you.
I just really, I just really know what to say.
I feel bad for it.
This is not the proper season for people. Kira just sent me a message that one of our other friends in town here passed away. Oh, Roger Cuppington was his name. They lived over in Woodland East, but it's been a week ago.
Yeah, last night, was it last night? I went into grocery outlet and there were ambulances over at Rosie's and the grocery outlet said somebody passed away at Rosie's
Oh, really?
yesterday evening.
You know why? Because this is a bad, I shouldn't say this, but they opened up the menu and saw the prices. I'm going to hell with that.
Yeah, maybe.
Well,
You just never know.
they did, I think I don't know how accurate the clerk's information was, but it was like, I saw it all over top the parking lot. Yeah. I would hope if they passed away, they at least have to finish the meal they went in there for. Right?
Well, I don't know if you would have known, let's see, James, a little bit younger. Because you're saying you just Gail, right?
Yeah, and James went to
James was
school.
4 years younger.
He went to school with my sister-in-law.
Yeah. But you know Crystal Cummington?
So the other voice.
Her name's something like that.
Okay, because she might have been
One
in
that worked for
between.
Microsoft and I went to the Monterey. And then
Where's
the
it at?
leave and then came to check it out.
It's like
So stupid.
everybody my age, our
So
parents,
stupid. Thank you, Faith.
you know, like parents all over
QuickBooks 99.
Oh, really?
So you'll see the screen in the
Oh, I
office.
don't know. Yeah, so Facebook, that's right, so, they also, her, she told Grandma Cora, over here, she just passed away last week. She was in a state, but, yeah, so.
Oh my God. Well, though, but at the end of the day, I mean, they should have made the investment a long time ago. Into.
Passed away. Sorry, it's going to be.
She said leave it here.
He would have been around.
Yeah, I don't know why. It says, sorry. Please turn off the laptop, and leave it in the council chambers. Remember to turn off the video and the other two power switches. I forgot about
You
these.
know, my spouse had a heart attack at 32, so